Okay, cool. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and joining us for our final Capstone presentation. We had the pleasure of working with Mural Pay. Sinclair and Will over there were sponsors throughout the course of this semester. So Mural Pay is trying to create the future of international payments by providing bulk payment processing, built-in compliance, as well as real-time payment tracking, all underpinned by an easy-to-use user interface. Our team consists of 4 people. We divided the roles of our team based on each of our individual skill sets and experiences. We have Nabila here, who focused on customer research and data acquisition. Ziteeng focused on competitor and market research. Amruth focused on scaling customer success and processes. And I focused on customer acquisition. When we first started working with Mural, we needed to understand what the problem statement that we'd be focused on throughout the Capstone. And using tools such as the 5 Whys, we defined it as creating a clear go-to-market strategy for entering the Latin American market. This strategy consisted of 3 different pillars. The first pillar is market validation, which included validating the demand for Mural Pay's services within the Latin American market, and also understanding how it differentiates itself from both local and global competitors. The second is improving internal processes in order that can continue to scale as Mural Pay continues to scale within the region. And ultimately, new customer acquisition and reducing churn rates for these existing customers. So throughout the course of the semester, as we were working with Mural Pay, we created the 3 solutions that aligned with these buckets to create a streamlined go-to-market strategy for sustainable growth. For market validation, we were able to validate the demand for Mural Pay's solution and its competitive differentiation. We streamlined the pre-sales to post-sales customer journey, and we helped acquire new customers and reduce churn. I'm going to now pass it over to Ziteeng, who will walk you through some of the research that we conducted during our capstone.
Thank you, Carlson. Now, so we have the basic background layout, and now let's move to the research and planning section. This flowchart shows how we work step by step during this period, and I will dive into the details later, but let me first give a brief introduction. Our journey began by trying to understand the core problems and the opportunities in the market. We start with the broad market research, looking at the bigger picture, and then breaking it down into smaller parts. So first, we analyze the market landscape, understand the market trends, and also the regulations. And then we identify who our ideal customers are and what they really need. And finally, we study our competitors to see what they are doing well and where they fall short. As we gather this insight, we use SWOT analysis to organize our findings and pinpoint our strengths and weaknesses. This helps us develop a clear plan of how to position ourselves in the market, focusing on the strategy that makes the most sense for our final work. And now let's move to the market landscape. So when we look at the Latin market, we found both opportunities and challenges. We analyze the market from 4 different dimensions: market size, target population, regulations, and then trade strategy. So first, we recognize Brazil and Mexico to us the key market because of their strong economics and also their growing e-commerce sector. At the same time, we also see there is a huge market potential of unbanked and underbanked populations who need better financial solutions. However, we notice the regulation framework differs a lot among different countries, creating some uncertainties but also opportunities for us to invest. Finally, by studying how different fintech companies are entering the market, we get a clear view of what works and where we should focus our effort. Now let's move to the competitive analysis. So in our research, we look really closely at the main players in the market to understand their strengths and weaknesses. For example, company-wise offer low cost and easy to use service, but doesn't focus much on small business in emerging market. Company Payoneer is great for SMBs and freelancers, but it has higher fees for larger transactions. Company dLocal is famous for its scalable API-driven solutions, and it is pretty strong in the Latin market, but its presence outside this region is limited. And finally, traditional banks are widely trusted by large companies, but it always comes with higher fees and slower transaction speed. And now let's move to the target customer profile. So to serve our customers well, we need to really understand their needs. We focus on the industries such as IT service, design, marketing, call centers, and outsourcing because they often make cross-border payments. And these customers get very clear pain points such as low transaction visibility, slow speed, and high fees. And they also show a preference for digital solutions that can help them make their payments easier and faster. So by addressing these issues, we believe we can really build trust and provide real value to these industries and helping them work more efficient. And now I'm going to pass over to Amruth to talk more about our cultivate.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk about what we did because we talked a bunch about the market, right? Nabila was able to get in touch with Columbia Library to be able to take advantage of EMIS. And what essentially that means is being able to tap into a data source that allows us to target specific ICPs based on a whole new data source. And on top of that, it also diversifies the data sources that we have so it can enrich that data and make sure that we allow for the accurate pieces that we're reaching out to and make sure that we're narrowing to the specific ICPs that we want to actually target. Let's jump to the next slide to talk about what Carlson was able to use with LinkedIn, right? So Carlson talked about being able to leverage the LinkedIn Campaign Manager to help streamline and actually target specific ICPs as well. But with LinkedIn, you get the advantage of being able to tap into an active database of millions of users, which means that the idea of acquiring more customers to generate, which comes from generating a higher amount of leads, can be much more higher as well. Now, then I came in with my customer success side of things, which meant talking about how we can make a change from the pre-sales to post-sales process at this right time. So before, the way things looked like was when I had conversations with Bree, who was a global head of sales, as well as Will and Sinclair. It was essentially in the sense that contracts were signed, you get the KYB or KYC, essentially what's called compliance. And once that's done, you jump into an onboarding call. But in this process, it was seen that there was a lot of cooks in them, and that meant too many POCs, right? A lot of clutter, a lot of information. There was a lack of necessarily a clear handover process, and that meant that sometimes the who's the POC at Mural Pay might have been inconsistent or unclear for the client side of things. So I'm looking at it from a client experience and a customer experience perspective to see how can I change this, right? On top of that, I observed it was more of a reactive sort of a situation rather than necessarily being proactive. And that's where, there was a lot of opportunity to essentially better onboard and better manage some of the existing clients so that there was a clear process from moving into sales, into leveraging the platform as soon as possible, and then unlocking more value with them actively. So the way I saw things could change is by establishing clear responsibilities, and that meant making sure there's clear delineation of the responsibilities in terms of each stage. When we go from pre-sales to post-sales, we can see who is in charge for each and every step, and on top of that, a very clear handover process, something I like to call knowledge transfer or KT, some of you might know. By establishing things like this, we're able to ensure that that process of moving from pre-sales to post-sales is not only very, very clear, but also you have an understanding of who is in charge of the information transfer internally so that you're giving the clients the best experience. On top of that, we're also able to give very proactive onboarding and guidance because of this newer structure, which essentially makes sure you give more of a handheld experience for our clients. Make sure you go to that initial onboarding call. Make sure you then hop on another testing call to get them familiar with the platform. Then, have that payment schedule or set up and offer that level of support to hop on a call with them so you can go through that process. Think of it as an analogy. You're nurturing a bird before the bird flies on its own, right? That's one way to look at how we were trying to approach this aspect. Now, when we jump into the next slide here, you can see what we did with the onboarding checklist, right? The idea that we had here is when a user comes into the platform, we want to make sure the experience we provide them is a good one and also a quick and easy one, right? Usually when a user comes into the platform, there is sometimes little to no guidance, and to make sure that that is as actionable as possible for our users, we decided to implement something like the onboarding checklist. And with this, what that means is that we're able to give that guidance, that level of guidance for some of these new users and explorers who want to try out this platform. With the checklist, what it helps to do is reduce any kind of client frustration on how one can actually get fully set up and reduce any drop rates that we might be facing as a result of unclear onboarding processes. On top of that, the best part that I like to talk a lot about is reducing the time to the first value point, right? When you provide a lot of guidance, handheld guidance, whether it's in-app or not, what this is able to do is you are able to provide clear guidance within the app itself, and that means less hands-on involvement. The clients get way more value very quickly, and the time to value that it takes for them to get that first value point, whether it's the first payment or whatnot, is much shorter as a result. So let's kind of step back a little, and Nabila will talk a little bit more about how we approached all of this in a sprint by sprint format and then tie it back to our final goal.
Yeah, so my team spoke about what exactly we did for Mural, but let me kind of bring it back to the structure of the 6-sprint structure of our class. So in the first sprint, we worked with Mural to understand their pain points, which were like market validation or customer acquisition strategies. And in sprint 2, we jumped to the research and planning side, and we used tools like EMIS or Import Genius to refine their ideal customer profile. And then in third sprint, we worked with them again to refine their the outreach strategies and developed over thousands of potential leads. In sprint 4 and 5, we focused on testing and prototyping throughout, and we optimized the KYB KYC process and focused on enhancing the customer onboarding experience as spoken by Amruth. And then finally, in sprint 6, we compiled all of our insights into actionable recommendations to support Mural's goals. So this kind of shows you exactly the areas where we had the greatest impact, which were market validation, lead generation, increased customer acquisition, and customer retention. It shows you this contributed significantly to our overall success over the semester. So building on the sprint and the impact, we created the business model canvas. So this kind of shows you how all of the elements work together to help us and Mural. So at its core, we have value proposition, which are lower fees, faster transactions, and better transparency. Mural does this through key activities like platform development, market research, customer success management, which ensures that the platform is both innovative and user-centric. Talking about the users, the customer segments are the import-export sector and service-based businesses, which are reached through channels like LinkedIn, CRM tools, or in-app messaging. And then the relationships are maintained through dedicated onboarding and personalized support. So the whole system is supported by strategic partnerships like the regulatory bodies in Latin America and resources like a great platform, a great GTM team, or a scalable infrastructure. So this is, again, a great GTM team. And then this is finally the revenue streams are transaction fees and SaaS fees, which balance out the cost drivers like platform usage or cloud hosting. So we believe that we laid down the groundwork for reducing time to first value, improving operational efficiency, and driving scalable growth. We believe that by incorporating all of our insights, Mural can amplify their global impact and be the leader in cross-border payments. Thank you.
I'm Sinclair, CEO and founder of Mural, and yeah, I just have to say it was truly a wonderful experience getting to work with Carlson, Nabila, Amruth, and Ziteeng. I am very, very impressed with the quality of our team and just the dedication to the work that you all did. It was really spectacular. It was really nice seeing you in person as well. Came to our office, we had lunch together. We had some very nice, weekly chats as well. And it's just neat, that you're doing this class with Christina and that you're applying, everything that you're learning in class directly to, to Mural and to our business. I feel like you have had a very tangible impact on our business, notably on how we've approached our go-to-market strategy in Latin America. The research that you provided was directly fed into our weekly go-to-market meetings. And on top of that, especially in the customer success one, Amruth, who really kind of plugged in here with us, even on a more granular day-to-day basis. You were really impactful on that. So thank you so much. We really felt the impact. The too many cooks in the kitchen, that was a real problem. We had way too many cooks. Ziteeng provided some really good research in terms of what other fintechs do out there. How can we maybe learn from what works well, what didn't work as well. So thank you for your research there. Carlson did some great work on the LinkedIn front. I know him and Will were jamming a lot, and so thank you again. And then Nabila, you too as well. Learning more about your experience, working with your family business, and kind of how you thought about the import-export industry, and all the research you shared there was really invaluable. So thank you so much. And thank you to Christina for giving us this opportunity to be able to work with your Capstone and with Columbia. It's really special.
Well, thank you so much, and we really appreciate the experience, and I'm glad it was so positive for everyone. And Will, did you want to share some words?
Yeah, quickly. Yeah, super thankful. I think I was probably the most interactive with the team. We are a really small, lean team. We're an early stage startup, so having 4 new sets of eyes to bring a new perspective to the business was extremely helpful. We had a lot of stuff that we overlooked just because we're so tunnel visioned on what we've previously done. So getting this team to come in and and just build these new processes that traditional business should have was really helpful. So everything really gave us this new perspective on how to handle customer success. It was definitely something that we had overlooked. And then looking at traditional channels like EMIS and LinkedIn ads, just give us this holistic picture for our go-to-market. We've been very channel focused, so kind of bringing in new channels was super helpful and kind of made my job a lot easier. So I really appreciate their time and for you to give us this opportunity.
Oh, well, it was wonderful. Thank you so much. So now comes the Q&A portion of this. You're welcome to stand up there.
I can answer.
So in terms of what you learned from this experience, in terms of the Latin American market versus the American market or some of the other markets that you approach, I mean, what was your learning experience through this journey? Because it was both a technology, a new market, a new approach towards a remote business.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that mainly stands out for me was how, you kind of have to be on your toes when you're working for, a startup or any company, really, because you can so quickly have to shift your entire project. So, for example, we shifted our market segment to, we did all this research on export-import companies. We're like, oh, yeah, this is great. And then, the next week, we were like, yeah, scratch all of that. We're going to be, focusing on a whole different group. So, but I think that, really helped me understand, because I was like, oh my god, is this bad? But even Carlson or they were like, no, this is pretty normal, and yeah, this is what happens, so you're just gonna have to work with that. So I think that was a really good learning experience for me.
And a quick point there, very thankful for the flexibility of the team, because that is a very real scenario that happened. We laser focused import-export, had some quick learnings on the regulation front from great research from the team, and figured out that wasn't a market that we wanted to enter. So they quickly adapted and switched their focus to kind of dive right back into that service-based business.
Yeah. Which is great, because the pivot is obviously one of the more difficult parts of the experience, because you're down on path and you're like, wow, I'm sailing through, getting this done, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, we're taking a little pivot here. And so I know a lot of the other teams experienced a bit of that as well. So any other questions from the classmates or anyone?
Yes, firstly, I love your presentation. So thank you so much for working so amazingly. I wanted to know more about the research you did for the project and what was the methodology to do the research.
So the main research, we all kind of took different areas. For example, I was researching on potential leads, while Ziteeng was researching on competitor analysis. So all of us kind of just took different parts, and it helped us that we were all, at the end of the week, we were all compiling all of that and kind of learning from each other. So even though and it helped us kind of be very niche focused and specialize in each of it. And I think, I remember meeting with Christina, and they were saying that you guys are supposed to work together. So every week, everything you should be doing together. So, but I think we took a little different approach, and it kind of worked out because it allowed us to do a lot of different work in a very short time.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Latin America is a pretty broad market. Did you all have a point of view on maybe a good entry point, maybe narrowing it down to a particular country within Latin America?
I just say a few things, and feel free to correct me if anything. We essentially wanted to target areas within the South American region that have a use case that we're trying to achieve bread. Some countries support, in fact, a lot of countries support that use case, but this complexity comes in with regulations and how infrastructure is that in terms of being able to make these payments successful, right? Some countries support that. Some countries aren't super open with the infrastructure and the actual regulatory bodies that they have over that. So it is complex to navigate those countries, but we navigate with the countries that actually are open and work, friendly to work with us, especially a company based in the United States, and being able to, align with their kind of compliance processes, being able to align with that kind of, regulatory information pieces as well. That is key in order for us to be having a successful partnership with clients in these various countries. For example, I could give the various country names, but I don't want to do that. But we might be able to support certain countries, we might not be able to support certain countries. But again, that all goes to the learning process that we have with, making sure we understand who we are able to work with, who we can't, and how we can make that possible in the future as well. So, you'd like.
Great answer. Yeah. Some of our current, most notable countries at the moment are primarily money moving from the U.S. into Colombia, U.S. to Argentina, and U.S. to Mexico. So those are three of the main markets at the moment. Right now we're rapidly expanding, so we're also looking at Brazil, for instance, and Uruguay, Chile. They're Latin America. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Hi, Jiba. So, first of all, great job, guys. Very sleek presentation that you organized. My question is about the outreach plan by you guys have. So, I heard about the onboarding process and everything. But in terms of the clients that you're targeting, like since it's a fintech product and it's like adapted, it's going to grow exponentially and very quick. So, what kind of clients were you guys targeting, like in terms of getting initially SMBs or like new market or enterprise level start with in this case?
How are you getting them? How are you finding them?
So like I mentioned, that we kind of, at different stages, we were focusing on different market sectors, but one of the main was like the import-export countries, and then we shifted to service-based countries. And the way we were, first of all, researching was like through tools like EMIS and Import Genius, and then we were reaching out to them through LinkedIn, direct emailing. They had a system in place called Clay, which was like amazing to look at, and it kind of automates everything, and like in one click you can reach out to like thousands of potential leads. So those were like the different approaches that we tried. That answers your question.
Yeah, that answers part of my question. But like, what kind of clients, ICPs that Mural is tapping in?
Yeah.
Onboarding SMBs first, or like mid-market, or straight up enterprise, just like I said.
Yeah, I think so. We were targeting from like 25 to I think like 250 employees. I think like the company sizes. So like smaller companies, but that have payments going from the U.S. to those South American countries that we mentioned earlier. With the idea that we shifted from the import-export to the service-based companies because of just fit a better regulatory but also sort of product market fit that we found for those.
Yeah. And at the moment we have two kind of core pipelines. One of them is what we call our Velocity pipeline, which is small, medium-sized businesses, and that's Carlson described. Those are fantastic because we can close them usually 3 to 6 weeks. So then we have what we call the big fish pipeline. And the big fish pipeline, think banks, for instance, other fintechs, larger businesses where it might take us 2 to 3, 4, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, for instance. But once we bring those customers in, they're processing 500,000 and 2 million a day, and so we have both pipelines. Okay.